This is season 3, episode 7 of Vlogging with Tempo. Cool. Cool? Are you cool? Be cool. I'm Mark.
I'm Haley.
What are we talking about today?
Whatever you want to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
Redirection.
Predictive index?
We can talk about personality, or we could also talk about bias.
Biases, yes.
I think biases are great.
Okay, let's go.
So, what are the biases that you could think of?
It depends on which one you want to talk about. You want to talk about, we can talk about anchoring, we can talk about, the IKEA Effect. You seem to like that one.
Yeah, I did like the IKEA Effect.
Okay. Well, ask me any question you want.
What is the IKEA Effect?
Oh, okay. Perfect. So the IKEA Effect, it basically means that if a homeowner in our case, or a customer in their case, has a part in building something, they are more committed to it. So if a technician is in a house and they're going over options, right, or building their options, getting input from a homeowner is basically the IKEA Effect. They're allowing them to choose what they want, so they will have a higher percentage of customers that go with that recommendation because they built it.
That's not the only place you use it.
Correct.
I was I think the reason why you alluded to, like, you really like the IKEA Effect is one of the other things you could do is when developing a new process for a team, right? When you get their input into it, and you take their advice and you create this new process. It's got to be a new process. I mean, if you've got a standardized process, you're not going to adapt one of those. But if you're building a new piece to your business, and the people who are going to play a role in it, give a little bit of feedback. Not only are they going to cover blind spots that you may not see, as it's their day-to-day stuff anyway, but as they're building that out, they take ownership. The ownership is a huge piece, right? It's also something we do with our ESOP, right? I think one of the really cool things about the ESOP, it's kind of not exactly the same thing as the IKEA Effect, but our retention with our partners and people who gravitate towards this company, right? Being part of ESOP, which means that the company's owned by the people who work at it. They're building that company. That's kind of the IKEA Effect, and then that translates. They feel a sense of ownership with it, and when they feel a sense of ownership with it, they are more productive with it. Yep. You retain them. The employment satisfaction comes up. I imagine the same thing with the sales side of things.
Yep. Well, so it also, because we have multiple divisions under the same umbrella, the same company, it helps us all work together because it's one common goal: increase employees or partners' retirement, because everybody's invested into the company, so everybody wants each division to succeed. So the more they help, we all help each other, the higher our investment goes.
We circle back a little bit to what a customer's experience is and how that customer satisfaction will go up when they get to pick and choose. It's probably based off different elements of a bundle. What does that look like?
I'm gonna need you to explain.
So I'm presenting some options,
right?
But I'm using the IKEA Effect, where the customer is going to love this and have a high level of satisfaction with it. What does it take to get to the point where we're working together to build out this proposal to do work? What does that look like?
You're gonna want to ask questions to the homeowner, so they have the thought in their mind of the things that you're about to offer, right? Or things that you're gonna go over. So if you're talking, if you're a technician and their system is 8, 9, 10 years old, you notice it's pretty dirty in the plenums and the ducts. So obviously you're going to talk about ask questions about their allergies, or if they've noticed more dirt than when they moved in. Not dirt, but dust settling on countertops and on picture frames and all that. Just asking the right questions will get them to think that maybe there's a solution that they didn't know about. So they would potentially bring up, well, yeah, what can I do about that? And then you have the ability to offer multiple things, and they will then come back and say that actually sounds great, such as the duct cleaning. For us, it's an air scrubber for
indoor air quality, right?
Yeah, any indoor air
So
quality.
one of the things I'm thinking about, because I mean, obviously, in the simplest way to do it, I imagine, right, is when you haven't made a proposal yet, and you're coming across individual items. There's going to be options inside individual items that you're going to build into one proposal, right, of a few proposals, and the customer's actually specifically picking things, all right? And so it's like, this is the one I want on my air conditioner, that type of thing.
Yep.
Is there like a critical level where it's like too much stuff, right? Because I imagine if you put out so many things that they can pick from, there's going to be a level at which it's like hard to make a decision on, right?
Yeah. So you're talking about like how many options. So there's been studies that say 3 to 4 options is the optimal amount of options. There was one where they put out I think it was like 26 different cheeses in a grocery store for people to look at and sample. But then when they dropped it down to 6, which is even more than we offer, but ours are quite a bit different price and a little bit of cheese. I'm gonna call it conversion rate, but the amount of people that bought cheese from that table increased tenfold. It's because they had fewer choices, so their mind didn't get.
It's like you got like information overload, or like if you're in coaching, it's paralysis by analysis. All of those things going in.
Yep.
But so if I'm walking into somebody's house, or if I'm making a presentation, or I'm building out things, I'm gonna want to have a few things to be able to start building this first option out with.
Yep.
But I don't want everything in the whole wide world.
You don't want everything, but you do want to set an anchor. So you want, if you know exactly what they need. So if their indoor air quality can improve with a upgraded filter, a UV light, and duct cleaning, set that as your second option. If we're talking about 3 options, right?
Yeah.
And then add one thing to that top option. Like we have a HEPA filter, right? Add that in there, and that price will be so much higher than the rest. That's going to be their anchor, and they're going to be focused on that big number, where when they drop down and it's thousands less, that's going to be way more appealing than that top option.
There was a tech that we sent to a class on indoor air quality, and he brought back the feedback, and I was like, that's anchoring right there.
Yes.
And the other thing that I'd picked up on, you're always learning, and it's one way, because obviously we've established that people love to have options, right? When they have options, it's their decision. They're not being told what to do.
Yep.
It's like, here are some solutions to your problem. Which one of these things makes the most sense for you. You're an expert and you're guiding them, right? But one of the things that that he brought back, or that I've also, it goes straight to anchoring, is the takeaway, right? Sometimes you're sitting there saying, all right, I've got a situation where this is an immediate need. This can also be true with building bundles for indoor air quality or system replacement, but mostly in repair. I've got the immediate need. I've got something that they'll enhance this or keep it from breaking down over a certain scope of life, and then I've got everything that we've discussed about all of the conversations have led us to, these are the ways to optimize your air conditioner, make it awesome for you, because it's lifestyle stuff maybe. When you're building this, if you start with this option and take away, I think there's a something going on there that is makes more sense to people, right? Whereas I'm adding to the Band-Aid or the emergency situation or the basic unit, where I'm saying, all right, everything we've discussed, everything I've taken notes down on, everything we've really been talking about, this is the thing that we're now taking away things from, and then of these options, you can pick what you want, which is also something interesting that kind of I had a shift in mind on.
So quick story about that, and then I know we're running low on time, so I'll let you go after that. So a couple of days ago, one of our technicians was quoting a system, and they specifically mentioned that they wanted the most efficient system that they could possibly get. So he specifically said, I want a heat pump, but they had gas, right? So they couldn't have a heat pump. They didn't have enough room in their panel. So I said, well, why don't you do this? Quote, this is one of the types. There's 10% of people that are going to choose the highest option. Give them this option first, and if they don't like it, you can tier it down, right? So what I told them to do is offer the variable speed heat pump so it's dual fuel, so it's a heat pump outside and a 90% furnace inside. They currently had an 80%. So they're going to have to upgrade they would have to upgrade the flue pipe, obviously, to get 96% furnace or 97. And that's going to be his top option. From there, he can go down and still offer dual fuel, because he had solar panels and things like that. So he wasn't worried about the extra. He wanted to use electricity in the winter because he had a lot of solar panels. So he could still have the dual fuel, but 80% furnace. And then from there, he went down a little bit more. He ended up going for that top one, right? So he converted, and the reason he did that, reason I told him to do that, because 10% of people want the best of the best, and it made sense to him to the homeowner to get that without upgrading the panel, because that was going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's the story. It's my final story.
Well, since it's your final story, we'll wrap this one up. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you've got any questions about best practices in the industry, if you've got anything at all, just leave a comment. We'll try to reply as fast as possible. And we'll see you next week.